You know that feeling, right? Has this ever happened to you? Someone says one little thing, maybe a snarky comment from a coworker or, someone cuts you off in traffic and bam, your whole day is just ruined. You keep replaying it in your head. But what if I told you that entire emotional storm was actually a choice and that you could learn to choose something different?
So let's really get into this because this question, it cuts right to the heart of a really powerful truth. We all feel like our anger is this thing that just happens to us, right? Like we're just strapped into an emotional roller coaster with no control. But what science is telling us about our own brains, well, it reveals a much more empowering story.
90 seconds. That's it. Get this. Neurologically, that is the entire lifespan of the chemical reaction in your body that actually produces the feeling of anger. After just 90 seconds, all those stress hormones that cause that initial flash of rage, they're completely flushed out of your system. So, if the feeling is gone in a minute and a half, why are you still fuming about it 3 hours later?
So let's break down this really counterintuitive idea. Seriously, understanding this is the first step to taking all your power back. We're going to look at how this 90-second rule actually works and, maybe more importantly, how we unknowingly keep that fire burning long after the initial spark is gone.
Just think about it for a second. That person cuts you off in traffic. Boom. Instantly, your body is flooded with stress hormones. Your heart starts racing. Your muscles get all tense. That's the automatic physiological response. And here's the key. It's designed to be temporary. Your body is built to handle that trigger and then return to normal in about the time it takes to listen to half a pop song.
This burnt toast analogy is just a perfect way to get what's happening. That initial 90-second chemical rush, that's the smoke alarm. It's just a signal. But what do? We start telling ourselves a story about it. That guy is such a jerk. He thinks he owns the road. We start mentally rehearsing what we should have said. We are literally putting more toast in the toaster, keeping that alarm screaming long after the danger is gone.
And that leads us right into one of the biggest myths there is about anger. This idea that other people can push our buttons. I know it feels true, but the reality is so much more empowering.
We talk about our buttons like we're this helpless remote control that anyone can just pick up and start mashing. But here's the truth. A button doesn't do anything unless it's wired to something. Those buttons that people seem to push, they're actually just pointing directly to our own unhealed wounds or past pains. They aren't creating the feeling, they are simply revealing what was already there.
And what's really fascinating is that the emotion we call anger, a lot of the time, it's not even really anger. It's what's called a secondary emotion. Think of anger as this big, tough-looking bodyguard who jumps out in front of a more sensitive, vulnerable feeling, like hurt or fear or shame. Because those feelings, well, they're just too painful to face head-on.
Here's a perfect example. Let's say your partner forgets your anniversary, and you just explode. The reaction is anger. How could you forget? But what's that bodyguard protecting? It's that deep, tender hurt of feeling like you're not important. It is so much easier to feel powerful and angry than it is to feel small and forgotten.
Okay, so if anger is a choice, and it's often just a cover for something else, how in the world do we change it? Well, the secret lies in this hidden moment, a single point in time where you can reclaim all of your power.
Every single emotional event follows this exact pattern. There's a trigger, someone says something rude, and then there's your reaction. You snap back at them. But we almost always miss the most important part, that little space in between, that question mark. That is everything.
This is it. This is your point of choice. The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl, he discovered that no matter what was done to a person, there was always one last freedom, the freedom to choose your response. Most of us live as if that space just doesn't exist. We go straight from trigger to reaction. But your secret superpower? It lies in learning to find and expand that space.
Let's make this super practical. You get a passive-aggressive email from a colleague. Your fingers are just itching to type up a fiery response. That moment, right before you hit send, that is your choice point. And asking a simple question like this one, it forces you into that space. It shifts you from just reacting in the heat of the moment to responding with your future self in mind.
So the crucial thing is learning how to use that moment of power. It's not enough to just know the space is there. You need tools to help you use it effectively. So let's fill your emotional toolkit with 2 incredibly simple but really powerful techniques.
The first tool is learning to activate what's called the observer self. This is the part of your consciousness that's actually separate from your thoughts and emotions. It can watch the storm of anger roll in, notice the wind picking up and the dark clouds gathering, all without getting swept away by the tornado itself. This tiny, tiny shift in language is monumental. The first thought, this person is an idiot, it fuses you with the anger. You are the thought. But the second one, it creates distance. I'm noticing a thought. You're not the thought. You are the one watching it. And from that space of observation, you can choose a much, much more constructive response.
Now, the second tool is the reframe. This is a mindset shift that can honestly change everything. What if the most annoying, frustrating people in your life weren't actually obstacles? What if they were secretly your personal trainers, sent to help you build your emotional muscles?
And here's how this works in real life. Your boss sends their 10th email of the day checking on your progress. The old story is, they don't trust me, this is an attack. The reframe is, an opportunity to practice patience and clear communication. This is a workout for my calm under pressure muscle. All of a sudden it's not personal, it's just practice.
Okay, so we've got the knowledge and we've got the tools, but knowledge without practice is just entertainment, right? So let's look at how to actually integrate these skills into your daily life and turn these ideas into your new automatic way of being.
Look, don't try to do everything at once. That's just a recipe for failure. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is simple. Pick just one of these ideas, maybe it's remembering the 90-second rule or practicing the observer self. And for 1 week, make that your only focus. Every time you get triggered, just practice that one thing.
This really is the secret. The people you admire who seem so unshakably calm, they weren't born that way. They simply practiced these skills consciously at first until they became unconscious. They rewired their own brains through small, consistent efforts. Every single time you pause and choose a new response, you are literally building a new neural pathway.
So I'll just leave you with this question. Imagine a version of yourself that is free. A version where your mood isn't dependent on the traffic, or your coworker's tone of voice, or your partner's forgetfulness. A version where you hold the remote control to your own inner peace. Who is that person? What could they accomplish? Because that person is waiting for you.